I am really honored to have my first guest. Her name is Michelle Leath, and Michelle Leath is a certified eating psychology coach. And she specializes in helping women to detox in their relationship from food. And I'm sure she'll correct me if I make an error or if I'm wrong. Michelle is the creator of Live and Eat Fearlessly movement, and she teaches people how to partner with their bodies instead of do battle with them. I know for myself, my relationship with food and weight loss started when I was back in my teenage years, and it's been a battle ever since. I know that there's been periods in my life where I've been under stress, where I've experienced weight loss, and then there's other periods in my life where I've been under stress and I've experienced weight gain. But for me, it's a constant battle, and I know that I'm not alone in that. But it is something that just goes on. So aside from the question of what to eat, Michelle also helps people to tune into a deeper understanding of who we are as eaters. So that's what I'm hoping that she's going to cover today. And she's going to help me and a lot of other people in what she has to share. So I want to introduce Michelle Leath.
And thank you, Penny. Great to be
so
here.
Excited that we have you on our show today. I know that you are such an expert in this field, and I know that you did talk for us a couple of years ago to some women, and I was just amazed by the information that you had. So I guess my first question for myself and for everybody who's watching this, what is an eating psychology coach?
I get that all the time. I've been introduced as a food psychologist once before as well, and I said, well, I don't put food on a couch and ask it about its childhood. That's not what this is all about. Eating psychology is a really fascinating emerging field that studies kind of the powerful connection between our thoughts and feelings and our body's ability to digest and metabolize and even take nutrition from whatever we choose to eat. So it really looks at the mind-body connection at a much deeper level around the conversation of eating and nutrition. And what we've discovered through this mind-body nutrition science is that there's a lot of factors in how we're coming to the table that go beyond just what we eat and what we put in our mouths, but that actually impact what our body's able to do with what we put in our mouths. Right. Whether we're eating the healthiest thing on the planet by traditional standards, or whether we're eating something that we might call junk food or something like that. So it's a really interesting field. And then the other aspect of eating psychology as a whole that we look at is what we call dynamic eating psychology. And that is that's kind of like the deeper questions of who we are as an eater, how our own belief systems and life experiences and deeper lessons relate to our relationship with food. And this is one of the reasons why, so many people know what they should be eating, right? It's like a lot of people that say, first of all, when they find out I'm an eating psychology coach, they'll go, oh no, don't look at my plate, Like really, it's a very judgment-free zone. I really try to teach people how to find their own unique path to nourishment and nutrition that works for them. For some people, that is a highly gluten-free, toxic-free way of eating. And for others, it's not so much. I personally enjoy wine and dark chocolate and a good cheeseburger every now and again. But it's when we don't understand the relationship that we have with food on a deeper level that we continue to make choices over and over again that we're kind of going, wait, why did I do that? Why did I lose all that weight and then gain it back? Or why can't I stick to this healthy plan that I'm trying to, set up for myself? So eating psychology, I really view it as the missing piece of the puzzle when it comes to nutrition, health, fitness, and that overall conversation, especially for women, about, how do we nourish ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, on every level. And so it's helped me profoundly in my own relationship with food in giving me a whole new set of tools to work with beyond just the what should I eat, what shouldn't I eat, and how many calories and how many fat grams and all that stuff. It's that kind of becomes unnecessary when you get this deeper understanding. So as an eating psychology coach, I work with people to really help make those connections within their own lives, and also to introduce some new tools that can enhance what other efforts they're taking to make healthy food choices, to make healthy, eating and lifestyle changes and things like that. So it's a really, really cool and rewarding body of work, and I think it's highly transformative, and I'm thrilled to be part of it.
Right, and it's so much more than just going on a diet. It's totally different. It's really more how we eat and
Absolutely.
why we eat. I know for myself, when I grew up, we were taught that, and we had regular meals. We all sat down at the table, which is very, very different now than people normally eat. But we all sat down at the table in the evening, and it was expected that you finished everything that was on your plate.
Right.
I mean, we were of that mentality, and now the focus is more on you eat until you're full, and it doesn't matter if you leave something on the plate. So
that's a great example of one of the beliefs that usually, a lot of my clients come to me with is we have this early patterning, we have conditioning that we've been raised with our families or just through our culture that says waste, it's not good to waste food. And so I'll have a woman who's really struggling to overcome some overeating patterns, and yet her underlying belief is that she's bad if she wastes food, and that that childhood part of us. I remember I had a therapist one time who said to me, "We're every age we've ever been," and I was like, "That's brilliant," because we still have those parts of ourselves that are fearing, oh no, if I kind of violate a rule of the family, what's going to happen to me? Is my family going to be upset with me? And even though our adult rational minds can say, well, that's not true, if that's the underlying patterning and the subconscious belief, then without awareness of that, people will continue to overeat and things like that. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that comes up a lot.
Yeah, and then it certainly has influenced a lot of my eating patterns over the years. And one of the ways that I've been able to combat that through certain periods of time is just by putting less on the plate.
Sure. There's ways to once you know that, you can start to work with yourself a little bit on that. Another great one that I've seen is I've had clients who come from a very large family, and in order to get any food at all, they had to race to get in there and get whatever they could. And so they have this kind of constant lack mentality that says, if I don't get all the food now, there won't be any left for me. And that shows up just on a daily basis. And so we have to do a little bit of repatterning around that to help them, remember in the moment, what, there's more than enough. I can have it again tomorrow. I'm not 5 years old sitting at the table trying to, outpace my older brothers so that there's something left for me.
So as an eating psychology coach, you would not only be helping people who are looking to lose weight, but you may also be helping people who are actually not nourished enough.
Right. Sometimes, we live in a culture that really glorifies thinness, obviously, that really glorifies perfect diet and sticking to a perfect diet. And so there are a lot of women out there who are we call it chronic dieter. They're terrified of gaining weight or not being in control with food, and so they're hyper restricting. And to me, they're all sort of one and the same. Like when I meet people, my journey with food was very different than some of my clients. I was more of the chronic restrictor, and I dealt with eating disorders when I was younger. And then I have clients who have had a lifelong history of being overweight. But the common ground that we all have, especially as women, is that we're on a journey of learning how to nourish ourselves. And we're on a journey of learning how to nourish ourselves from an internally sourced place rather than an external anchor of we're looking to others for permission, right, on what should I eat.
Right.
All the nutritional experts out there and all the diet books and all of the, all the stuff that you see, Dr. Oz and all of that.
Right.
When we're looking outside of ourselves for answers, we don't tend to find answers that last for us very long, right? So, you mentioned diets, and it's proven now that diets don't work. 96 to 99% of people who lose weight on a diet gain back more than they lost.
Right.
And yet, do you know how much we spend on dieting and weight loss in the United States every year?
Well, I think I've tried every single one, so I don't want to know.
$70 billion.
Wow.
$70 billion we spend on something that has about a 1% success rate, 99% failure rate.
Right.
So, dieting is not the answer, and we're starting to realize that.
Right.
But where women are left now is with a sort of like, well, then what else? What do I do? I don't know what else to do. And so that's where I come in and try to
Right.
show them some new solutions. Yeah.
But even within that, there are, I see a lot of women and men who suffer from morbid obesity in the healthcare setting who are having bariatric surgery
Yeah.
in order to control their eating habits. Yet I see the same people who've actually had those surgeries. It hasn't affected their psychology about the way
Exactly.
that they were eating, and they, even though they've had the surgery, they just turn right around and regain all that weight again.
That's exactly
So,
right.
right.
Yeah, that's
So-
exactly right. And that's where the dynamic eating psychology is the
Right.
missing link. It's like that's that missing piece. If we don't, and what I'll tell you is it's fascinating. It doesn't make sense from a logical standpoint, but for someone in that situation, there's a payoff to them being obese or being overweight. There is
Right.
in some way that is rewarding them in their life on a deeper level. It might not, they could look around and go, no, it doesn't. This is terrible. However, on some level, there's a payoff for them. And if they don't understand what that is and then find a way to get whatever that need is met in a new, healthier way, then they will continue to, they're more likely anyway to continue to repeat that pattern because it hasn't
Right.
been replaced with anything better. And that was a good solution for them at the time that they created that condition. And so
Right.
that's the deeper work that, to me, is the most rewarding aspect of what I do. I love teaching people about the mind-body nutrition strategies because it's such low-hanging fruit and it's such great stuff where you're like, wow, I had no idea. And we'll talk about in a moment. I'll give you some of them. But,
Yeah.
I had no idea that I could actually totally enhance my metabolism without changing anything that I eat just by doing like these simple things. And
Right.
so that's really fun, and it gives people a great jumping off point to start to see some changes and some positive shifts. But then getting to that deeper stuff, I find to be really interesting and rewarding, and that's where people get to make really deep and profound life changes, and it's really beautiful.
Right. I
Yeah.
think you're really going to enjoy listening to my next guest after this
Great,
also.
yeah.
So there is a lot of focus on detoxing and cleansing, obviously. I really enjoy the concept of doing a short detox or a short cleanse. It really helps me to feel more energized. But what are some of the hidden toxins that most people are unaware of when it comes to eating?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And so, we are kind of in this time of life, or just where our culture is right now. We're right. There's a lot of information that we didn't have a couple of decades ago about what's going into our food and what's going into our bodies, and
Right.
that there's a lot of attention being drawn through the good work that you're doing to, all the sources of toxicity that we are exposed to. And what most people kind of don't think about is that a lot of that toxicity that we experience comes from our habits, not just what we're specifically putting in our
Right.
mouth or in our body. And so what I mean by that is when you look at the way that many people live their lives these days, right? We are rushing through meals, right? We're eating fast because we're all working like super hard, and we're in this very go culture where you've got to get a lot of stuff done, and women are working and raising families, and we're trying to do it all.
Right.
So we're rushing through meals. We are multitasking our way through meals. We're at the computer. I'm eating my lunch while I'm at the computer, and I'm not paying attention to what I'm eating. And so those are actually, they actually impede your metabolism, and they impede your body's ability to digest and assimilate what you're eating. When you're eating fast and when you're eating without awareness, it's actually one of the ways that people sabotage especially if they're on a weight loss plan or they're on a healthy eating plan.
Right.
It's one of the ways that we sabotage without even realizing it, because if you are eating under those conditions, it's actually creating a physiologic stress response in your body, which tells your body to store weight, to slow down calorie burning capacity, to slow down muscle building. So your body's getting a signal to do the opposite of lose weight and get healthier, right? And so when we're not aware that our our habits and how we're coming to the table have some toxicity in them,
Right.
then you're sort of like you're working at odds with yourself. So those are a couple of the big ones. Are how much awareness are you bringing to the meals that you have? Are you Facebooking while you're eating? I had a client who was doing her financials every day while she was eating, and it was totally stressing her out, right? And so she's eating in a stress response, which means her body's in digestive shutdown, and her metabolism's going down into the tubes. And then she was, I couldn't understand why she was binge eating all evening. And what's really interesting, I don't know if you know this, but if you don't get sufficient pleasure from a meal, so if your brain doesn't get the message, doesn't register taste, texture, aroma, pleasure, satisfaction from what you're eating, your brain will interpret that as a missed meal. So that communication between your senses and your brain doesn't happen if you're checked out and you're not paying attention, or you're not getting any pleasure because maybe you're eating something that you don't like, or usually it's because we're not paying attention. And so your brain thinks, oh, I didn't eat. So it does the only thing it knows how to do, which is signal hunger.
And so you eat again.
So you feel compelled to eat again, and then you think, oh no, I've got a horrible willpower problem because I can't stop eating. But the survival instinct will override your designs on what you think you should or shouldn't be eating, on any given day. So when we don't have the experience of eating that is fully satisfying, where we're fully present, where we're getting pleasure from the food, that is one of the most common drivers of afternoon and overeating in the afternoon and evening binge eating and things like that. Is that if you look back and say, wow, was I paying any attention at breakfast? Did I rush through my breakfast? What did I do for lunch? I wasn't paying any attention. I was checked out. Often my clients will find that just by switching that, their urges to overeat will evaporate like almost overnight.
Wow. Okay. So that explains a lot then.
Yeah. So, those are some of the what I would call toxic habits that we have that we're just not aware of because it's such the norm now. We're eating in the car. We're trying to do a million different things, and the attention and time that we give to meals has sort of evaporated in that, which is, it's interesting. You look at the French culture, right? And the French don't have nearly the rate of obesity and eating disorders that we have.
Right.
And yet they're eating bread and cheese and, drinking wine and chocolate and all the things that over here, especially in the States, everyone's very like, oh no, I can't have any of that. That's all going to be fattening or whatever the case may be. But they're eating all of that. However, they're taking long lunches. They're bringing pleasure, and they're having a pleasurable, slow experience of eating. They're not coming to the table with a lot of toxic judgment and fear about what they're eating. And that toxic judgment and fear that we have sometimes, especially for women who have been struggling for any length of time, is perhaps the most toxic thing of all that I think I see with the women that I work with and the women that that come to my workshops and things like that is that they're coming to the table with a side order of guilt and a side order of fear and shame. And if you tell yourself over and over that this is if I eat this is fattening, this is going to make me fat, your body and your brain will actually start to create that experience for you. So we need to really look at how we're showing up. Are we awake at the plate? And then also, what's the inner dialogue that's going on while we're eating? And is that supportive or is that actually harmful? Because if it's creating stress and you're viewing food as an enemy, then you're in a fight or flight response, which is, again, a state of stress chemistry, which, as I said earlier, tells your body to basically grind your metabolism down to a halt, tells your body to hang on to weight, to slow down the calorie burning, slow down the muscle building, and so it's not getting you where you want to go.
Absolutely. And just everything that you're saying explains so much to me with my own particular eating habits, because I know that a lot of the times I don't like to cook. So I do eat a lot of snack type foods. I would rather make up a small salad or have a sandwich or something that's just quick and easy to make. That really isn't that pleasurable. In fact, I shared with my husband that one of the things that I would love to have more than anything else, if it was help with somebody to come in and cook me nice, nutritional, healthy meals. I mean, and I'm serious about that because it's something that I hate to do. I love food. I love to eat. But I really don't want to take that time that it takes to prepare it and then actually sit down and enjoy what I'm eating. So everything that you're saying makes absolute, total sense.
Well, the good news is there are some really simple things that you can do. Like, there's no perfect way to eat. I mean, if that's, and that's what I always tell people too. There's no right or wrong. There's no perfect diet for anybody. You know, there's not one perfect diet that would serve everybody anyway. But there are simple adjustments you can make in how you're eating that can help you get more benefit from that. You know, if it's small meals or whatever it is, that's fine. And yet you can work with yourself to, you know, get the most benefit that you can from those meals with a few of the things that I'll give you a couple tips before we wrap up. But just the fact that you're aware of that and you're able to just own it and relax around it and just go, okay, well, this is what I'm doing right now and this is how it's working. And if that's not creating a massive problem, then great. You can just find ways to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah, I have found that the times in my life where my weight has actually been the best controlled is when I'm eating very few different kinds, variety of food, and eating pretty boring, actually, without too much variety.
Yeah.
And then I can control my weight pretty well if I'm just eating the foods that I like, but not putting too much variety in.
Right. And would you say that at those times you're more relaxed about eating in general? You're just sort of like, just whatever, just...
I would say for me it actually takes the challenge out of trying to decide what I'm going to eat, and that's always a problem. It's okay, so you know, what do I make here? What do we cook? What's healthy? What isn't healthy?
Right.
If I'm just either doing a cleanse or I'm doing a detox or I'm eating my greens or I'm sticking to a particular pattern, then for me that is just, it's so much easier. So
yeah. Right, absolutely. And ease is kind of the name of the game because, again, anytime we're experiencing ease, we're in more of a parasympathetic nervous system state, which is more of a relaxed state, which is the optimal state of digestion, metabolism, nutritional assimilation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I could sit here and talk to you
know.
all day.
Me too.
I really could.
Me too.
And I just want to let you know that there will be the recording of this will be posted on my website on Toxic Free Journey, but I want you to tell people how they can get hold of you. Number one, I know we have your name. Oh, your website is on the screen there.
MichelleLeath.com.
Yeah, okay.
You can also find me at liveandeatfearlessly.com. Either one of those will get you to me, and there's a way to contact me there on the website. And there's also there's actually a free download there that's available where I go into a lot more depth around some of the 5 key areas that can help you detox your relationship with food. So you can pick that up there at MichelleLeath.com as well.
Wow. And for all of the women who are watching this, Michelle will actually be speaking this year at the Fresno Women's Conference in September. And we are really excited about that. I for sure will be there, and I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me, Penny.
That's great. Thank you so much. And we'll take a short break, and then we'll be back with our next guest.